Hi, I'm Mike Saxenian. Welcome to my vlog series, TEDx Talks. Each episode, I'll be speaking with one of our expert teachers or administrators about how we use the abilities model to enable our students to thrive here at McLean School. So relax while we tell you about transformative education at McLean. Hi, I'm Mike Saxenian, head of McLean School. Welcome to another TEDx Talk. I'm here today with Dr. Sara Hines, who is our Master Teaching Coach and Lead Reading Specialist. Dr. Hines, tell us about your background.
I've been here at McLean. This is my 5th year. I used to be head of the lower school, and this year I've taken this new role. And before this, I was a professor at Hunter College in New York City for 7 years, working in their learning disabilities program teaching. And before that, I worked at many public and private schools in the DC area, mostly as a learning specialist, reading specialist.
Reading is an area that's not well understood. What are some of the big misperceptions about reading?
Well, one of the things that I think that there's a misunderstanding, I think the consensus is that children with dyslexia, typically, but not all, have a phonological processing deficit, which actually means the inability to discriminate and manipulate sounds. But rather than getting at this underlying problem, we go to direct instruction in phonics, which is wonderful, it's best practice, but it's not effective when they have underlying deficit. So I think one thing that we do here at McLean that is great is that we screen every new child who comes here to see whether or not their phonological awareness is intact. And if not, we do remedial work, because trying to do phonics when you can't really hear the sounds doesn't make a lot of sense. And then we have other alternative methods we use while we're working on this phonemic awareness, so that the child feels like they're making progress and that they're going to learn how to read ultimately, which I think giving them that sense of momentum is incredibly important.
And you find once you've worked with students on phonemic awareness, then they have the foundation that they need to really
Absolutely.
learn to read.
And lots of times we'll have children who come here who've had direct instruction in phonics, but they couldn't access it. But once the phonemic awareness kicks in, then all this teaching that they've had all of a sudden makes sense to them. So they'll make really quick progress.
Now, some of our viewers may not be familiar with the term phonemic awareness. What do you mean by that?
I think phonemic awareness has more to do with auditory discrimination and being able to manipulate sounds. For example, do you hear the difference between the vowels of the words hard to discriminate. Can you repeat them? Because if you can't get your short vowels, phonics is going to be really, really difficult for you. So it's also, that's like the basis. Can you even hear the sounds? And then what would the word be without bat be without the b? What, just manipulating sounds, substituting sounds. Instead of the B, there's a C. Change the vowel sound, those kinds of things. Can you, if I give you a word, can you give me the sounds? If I give you the sounds, can you blend them? Can you rhyme? Those are phonemic awareness activities.
So helping students at a very basic level to hear the difference between different sounds.
And then to see
also
similarities and substitutions and see how playing with sounds.
So we work with them on those building blocks, and then that leads us up to more advanced activities, which other schools might start with.
Yes, and then also while we're doing that, if they can't really get the phonics, we can do rhyme families, which is sort of, you just change one letter, and it's more of a visual analysis task. In the end, it's very, very effective.
Now, you've developed some fun ways to teach using song also. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Okay. I actually worked with a little girl who was 16 and couldn't read at all and said, I'm never going to need to read. I don't know. I don't have to learn. I'm going to be a singer. And I thought, well, she probably knows some lyrics to songs. So I said, who's your favorite singer? And she told me it was Babyface. So I got the CD and I typed it out. And I said, you know these lyrics. I want you to be able, you can take as long as you want, to point to each word and tell me the word. Because it's discovery. So she's got the words, and she had lots of phonics, but it made her able to connect her understanding of phonics to these words. She came back on Thursday, it was Tuesday, and I said, how far did you get? She said, I can read the whole song. And she could. So that was the beginning of our reading program. When we finished that song, we got another song and another song. So I've been doing it with lots of students.
What advice do you have for parents whose children seem to be struggling with reading?
Okay. the enemy of learning is anxiety. And if parents get overly anxious about their children because they're not doing this or they're not doing that, then the child picks up on it and they're not going to be able to generalize. So I don't really want to say, look for these things, look for these things. I wouldn't rush to worry, because I think they need time to grow.
Tell us about some of your research.
So my interest was always, what can you do for those students who are the hardest to remediate? And so I have done a lot of research with onset rhyme instruction. The onset in the word cat, the onset is sk, and at is the rhyme. So I developed a series of books where it was based on onsets and rhymes, and it was really for the kids who couldn't discriminate. So the patterns, the at pattern, for example, is color-coded. So if they can't hear it, they can see the differences. And it's like everybody can do it. Every child can do it because it's so very structured for success. So that's my research. I developed it, I tested it, it was highly effective. I've done 2 studies on that, but mostly reading and unique ways to teach reading to kids who have a really hard time, because that's my basic interest. So,
Thank you, Sarah. Really enjoyed our conversation. And thank you all for joining us for another headX Talk. See you next time.
Over and out.
Over and out.
Okay, great.
You're great.